Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chill Out podcast. So it's Sunday. The vibes are very mellow. I went to the gym today and I was like, okay, cool. Well done, Kelly. Like, you actually did something good for yourself today. You showed up for yourself. So I like reminding that to myself when I go because some days it gets really dark, okay? And I just know that the gym is going to set me right and make me feel good. So I feel accomplished right now and I'm super excited to be hanging out with you. And of course, it's Sunday, okay, guys? It's a day for rest and peace. And it's currently such a nice vibe. I'm currently chilling on my bed with my blanket on. I have like the beautiful trees outside. It just looks gorgeous. The sun is slowly setting, you know, those vibes. So, yeah, let's get into it. I'm super excited for this week's episode. I'm kind of nervous at the same time because it's really honest, but hey, what would this podcast be without being honest, right? Okay, so I've only really had two romantic relationships that taught me what love is and what it definitely isn't. The first one was more of a situationship. He said he was falling in love with me, but honestly, he treated me badly and made me question a lot about what I deserved. It was just messy and was confusing, and ultimately, it hurt way more than it should have. The second one was the only guy that I've ever truly loved, right? So we dated seriously for 5 years, and then after we broke up, we had this on and off casual phase for about 3 years. That part of our story was a bit chaotic. It was kind of emotionally draining, confusing, but also full of lessons that I honestly wouldn't trade. And even though at the time it felt like my heart was breaking over and over and over again, both relationships left me with some hard, sometimes painful lessons about love and boundaries and self-worth and timing. And today I want to share 9 of the biggest, hardest lessons that I've learned. And these aren't just my experiences. I feel like they're things that I think a lot of people go through but really talk about openly. So if you've ever been in love or been hurt or wondered what love is supposed to feel like, this one's for you. So lesson number 1 is love isn't mean. And I learned this the hard way with my first relationship, which was more of a situationship. He would say he was falling in love with me, but the way that he treated me, not even close to love. He could be harsh and dismissive or straight up cruel with his words. And I'd walk away feeling small, like I just wasn't enough. And the worst part was the confusion because he said all the right things sometimes, made promises, made me feel a certain type of way sometimes, or just gave me glimpses of what love should feel like. That's what made it kind of easy to rationalize his behavior, to sort of make excuses and to keep thinking, maybe it's just a phase. Maybe he is stressed out. Maybe I'm just overreacting and being dramatic. But here's the thing. Real love doesn't tear you down. It doesn't leave you feeling like you're shrinking to fit someone else's ego or mood. So many people confuse intensity or drama for love. Maybe you've been there too. You know, someone yelling at you and then saying I love you doesn't make it love. It's just emotional chaos that's just not good for your nervous system. And real love, the kind that lasts or the kind that even helps you grow, doesn't demean you. It doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't leave you feeling like you have to tiptoe around someone's words or emotions just to survive or just to make them happy all the time. That's the first hard lesson that I had to learn. And it's one that I do wish I'd known way sooner. Lesson number 2 is boundaries are everything. And honestly, I had to learn this the hard way in both of those relationships, but especially with my long-term ex. There were so many times when I needed space, when I tried to set clear boundaries for my own mental health, for my own peace. It's kind of exhausting to care about someone and then show up for them and then realize that when you need a little bit of space or protection for yourself, it's somehow unreasonable. And I would catch myself thinking, I need to be there for him no matter what. I can't let him down. And I put his needs above my own over and over again. And yes, it made him happy in the short term, but in the long run, it actually cost me my peace, and it was super hard for me. Here's the insight. Your boundaries aren't just rules for someone else. They're like a declaration that your mental health and your emotional health actually matters. Being kind and loving or supportive doesn't mean letting someone override your needs or ignoring the line that you've drawn for yourself. I really think that true love and healthy love doesn't see boundaries as like a threat. It sees them as respect. So one of the hardest lessons that I learned was that it's okay to prioritize your own peace over trying to keep someone else happy, over trying to constantly accommodate them at your own expense. And honestly, that lesson has saved me so much heartache since. And that was such a difficult relationship to let go of. And I'm just being fully transparent. I will obviously explain more later on in the episode, but it was something that literally has changed me forever. Lesson number 3. Love requires effort, but not at the cost of yourself. And this is something that I learned painfully. I was always showing up emotionally, mentally, physically, especially during this person's struggles. And when he was going through rough patches, I was there. I gave him space to vent. I offered support. I tried to be his safe space. And I did it because I really loved him. Like, I'm just someone that, it's actually a downfall, to be honest, but I always feel like I want to fix someone. I want to make them feel better. I want to help them. And it's a blessing, but it's also a curse in a way, because sometimes that means that I'm putting my own needs and the things that I really want aside because I really want to make sure that this person is okay. And there's nothing wrong with being that way, by the way. Like, it just shows that that's who you are as a person, and it's a really great quality. But if you don't know how to maintain that balance, you can really lose yourself. And something that I also had to learn was that love wasn't always reciprocated equally in terms of what I was giving. And it's not like I was expecting the same in return, but it shouldn't even be something that is expected. It should just be reciprocated. And there were times when I needed this person or hoped for like even a small gesture of care in return, and he just wouldn't show up for me. And sometimes he would just withdraw or ignore or even just be unavailable and like ghost me. And that imbalance slowly erodes your sense of self. When you're constantly giving more than you're receiving, it starts to feel like your love is one-sided, and even worse, that maybe your worth is tied to how much you can do for someone else. Here's the insight that I had to really internalize. It's okay to love someone fully, but never if that love erases who you are. True love is a partnership. It lifts you both up, not just the one person. If you're giving everything and losing yourself in the process, it stops being love and starts being self-sacrifice. And learning to recognize that, to say, I can love, but I won't lose myself, was one of the hardest, but most necessary lessons that I've ever learned. Lesson number 4, timing and readiness matter. And I learned this the hard way with my long-term ex, especially during like our on and off years after we officially broke up. We had dated seriously for 5 years, and then for about 3 years after, we sort of kept like circling back to each other casually, sometimes texting, sometimes seeing each other, sometimes pretending like things were okay. At the heart of it, I feel like we both loved each other, but we weren't always emotionally ready for the kind of love that we were trying to give or wanted. And there were times when I wanted more consistency, more effort, more emotional availability, and he wasn't in that place. And there were times when he wanted connection, but I had to step back for my own well-being. The painful truth that I had to recognize and understand is that love can exist even if it's not enough. Two people can care deeply about each other, but if your timing is off, if one or both people aren't ready to show up fully, it can feel like heartbreak on repeat. It's not about lack of feeling or lack of love. It's about being ready to hold that love without hurting each other in the process. This lesson taught me that timing isn't just like a cliche, it's actually real. Love alone doesn't fix misalignment, and sometimes walking away even from someone that you truly care about is the most loving thing that you can do for yourself and for them. So if you've ever been on the receiving end of someone completely just like ghosting you and like cutting you out of their life without like a proper goodbye or some closure, and you had a really deep connection, sometimes it's really not about you, and it's okay to acknowledge that, and it's okay to understand that sometimes you just letting that person go is not only what's best for you, but it's also what's best for them, because they are clearly on their own journey, and that's okay. Like, the thing is, you will be okay. And I know that sounds really toxic positivity vibes, but I swear you will be, because I'm someone that has a very forgiving heart. Like, you can literally hurt me and I will be angry in the moment, but then I'll get over it really quickly, and then I'll welcome you back. And It's something that I'm trying to be better at because not everyone deserves that forgiveness. And it's not like you have to hate the person, but it's almost like you have to kind of protect yourself and kind of decide if that person is worth bringing back into your life. So what I've constantly done my whole life is someone will hurt me and I'll immediately just like forgive them and welcome them back and pretend like nothing's happened. But if it's a continuous thing that happens all the time, I think that you get to a point eventually where it's like, okay, this is too much. Like, this is actually hurting me to a point where it's like painful. Like, it's like my heart is like literally laying on the floor and it's in pieces. And I can't keep forgiving the same types of things. And even though I love you, it might be time that I let you go. And sometimes love is about that, and it sucks. Lesson number 5 is closure is for you, not for them. And I learned this in a really personal way after years of being on and off with one of my exes. And after showing up for him through, things that he needed me for, I finally realized that I couldn't wait for him to give me the validation or acknowledgement for my feelings. I couldn't depend on him to provide the kind of closure that I needed to truly move on. So I did something that felt huge at the time. I sent him a message thanking him for finally cutting contact, for respecting the space that we both needed, even if it wasn't perfect, because that's what allowed me to have the courage to actually start healing. Because the thing is, like I said, I have a very forgiving heart. And when we were on and off before, and I needed the space and I tried to cut him off, he would constantly come back and I would welcome him back. And I think now that it's on the other side of it and he's the one that's actually no contact, I think it's really good. And I kind of recognize that and I showed a lot of gratitude towards it because I would not have had the strength to do that, honestly. I think that when you love someone, it's so hard to just cut them off. It's really hard. And I'm just glad that he did that because he didn't only do that for him, but he actually helped me at the same time, if that makes sense. So, you know what? I didn't get a reply back and I almost didn't want it either, to be honest. I just sort of wanted to kind of like show that gratitude and I didn't need him to say, I see you, I understand you, I'm sorry. The act of expressing myself, of taking control of my own narrative, gave me clarity and relief and power over my own experience and my own heart. So even though he ghosted me and he did not even respond back, it doesn't even matter, I feel like I had to do that for myself by just recognizing that, you know what, you didn't just do this for yourself, you did this for me too, and I want to say thank you. Like, really thank you, because I would have instantly let him back in and my healing journey would have just been totally disrupted. The insight here is huge. You don't need someone else to hand you closure or to validate your feelings. True growth and healing and clarity come from within. You can honor your feelings and acknowledge your pain and give yourself the finality that you need without waiting for someone else to show up. And that's freedom. And it's a lesson that I will carry with me for life. I am someone that's very vulnerable. Like, I feel things and I feel really deeply. And I'm not afraid to say how I feel. I'm not afraid to be honest about things that are uncomfortable. Because I know in the end, when I look back at a situation, I can really fully tell myself that you gave your all. Like, you were completely transparent and vulnerable and open. And I don't know, I just think it's a beautiful thing to be able to recognize that at the end of something very painful, because you weren't putting up a front, you weren't trying to play it cool, you were just being honest in that moment, and that actually helped you to like heal from the situation. Lesson 6. Apologies don't erase patterns. Looking back at that same situationship, he would often apologize for being insecure or for the way he treated me. And for a moment, I take it at face value. But when the patterns repeated, the mean words, the dismissive behavior, I just realized that saying sorry does not mean that someone will change. And obviously it was like hard to accept, even though I didn't like love him in that way. It's still something painful because you spend time with someone and you are very open with them, and yeah, you know the vibes, okay? But anyways, when I reconnected with him eventually, it just showed me that even with apologies, some people aren't capable of showing up the way that you actually deserve. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're too much or that you're unworthy. It just means that you're in a different place now, mentally and emotionally, and you're no longer willing to let patterns from the past dictate how you are being treated in the present. Apologies are words. Respect and consistent care are actually what matters. Lesson 7. Growth often comes from discomfort. So life, relationships, heartbreak, mistakes, they all push us into places we don't want to be in, right? And it's uncomfortable. It's painful. It's frustrating. It's confusing. But those moments are where the real learning happens. And it's easy to wish for an easier path, to want to skip the hurt or avoid mistakes. But the truth is that discomfort teaches you things nothing else can. It shows you what you value, what you won't tolerate, and who you really are when the chips are down. And every lesson, every heartbreak, every tough situation is always a chance to become stronger and wiser and more grounded in yourself. So if you are going through something hard, like whether it's love or friendship or just life in general, just remember that growth is happening even when it doesn't feel that great. You are learning and you are evolving and you're becoming someone who can love better and set boundaries better and live more fully. Lesson 8, accept that silence is an answer. So I learned this one the hard way. Okay, I feel like we all have gone through an experience like this, but you know that pattern when it's short replies, walls going up, and then complete ghosting? At first, I found myself overthinking it, of course, waiting for him to explain, hoping that he'd change. But the truth is, that silence was the answer. That's the only answer that you need, okay? It also showed me that if someone isn't willing to offer depth or consistency or emotional availability, and that's perfectly fine. It's not about being bitter or holding a grudge. It's about taking people's behavior at face value instead of bending over backwards to justify it or wasting emotional energy on trying to decode why they are the way they are. It's honestly not worth it, guys. Trust me. You basically don't need to wait for someone else to communicate their intentions or validate your feelings. If someone consistently disappears or withdraws or refuses to show up, their actions are actually telling you what you need to know. So accept it, honor your own feelings, and move forward with clarity. Silence doesn't have to be this thing that hurts. And I know it's so easy to say because when you're in the moment, it does hurt and you start spiraling. But it can be such a freeing thing to just accept. Lesson 9, love can be intense, and that's not a bad thing. Thinking back to one of my past relationships, it was very codependent, full of fun and parties and insane attraction. But it wasn't just that. We were best friends, we were vulnerable with each other, and the connection that we had was real and deep. And it was fun, it was thrilling, and it was part of why I loved it so much. You become so addicted to that high that I totally get when people sing about songs about drugs, because love is literally a drug. You get so addicted to this person and so consumed by it that it's so, I don't know, it just feels like ecstasy. It feels like you're so consumed by this love and it's so passionate and it's just amazing. So yeah, anyways, the lesson that I learned is that while intensity and passion are exciting, they aren't everything in a relationship. A relationship can feel electric, but if it lacks balance or mutual respect and space for growth, it can be unsustainable or even unhealthy. And intensity should enhance love, not mask problems or replace stability, if that makes sense. It's okay to have fun, to love deeply, and to be vulnerable, but make sure that intensity isn't the only thing keeping you together. Real love includes joy and safety and passion and consistency. That balance is what lasts. It can be so easy to chase the thing that you're so used to, like a love that is just crazy and fun and intense and all consuming, and it's so, I don't know, it just sucks you in and it makes you feel alive in a way. But if it's not really helping your nervous system and you feel there's a lack of consistency and a sense of feeling safe, then you really have to take inventory of that relationship and really ask yourself, is this what I actually want, and is it actually making me happy? Being so open about past romantic relationships kind of make me cringe because, it's over and I'm literally being so honest in this episode, but I feel like I'm in a place to be able to recognize a lot and literally just be honest because it's healing in a way. I remember after things ended in my last relationship, I remember wondering, would I ever feel that kind of love again? Because it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It was intense and consuming, and for a long time, I really thought that he was someone that I'd have in my life forever. Even now, I feel grateful for that kind of love. But the heartbreak, if I'm being totally honest, that heartbreak has honestly changed me forever. And I'm just being totally transparent right now. I feel like a totally different person. Letting go and accepting that you aren't meant for someone after spending so many years with that person and getting so close to someone and being so involved in someone's life and they are so involved in yours, it's such a crazy feeling to even think about. Like, how can you be so in love with someone and then automatically just be complete strangers? It's a weird concept, okay? But just letting go of that and accepting that this isn't for me and realizing that someone that you cared for so deeply isn't going to be part of your life in the way that you imagined. That type of stuff cuts deep, and I want to be clear. I just think that heartbreak in life gives you a lot of clarity, and for me, it really forced me to be okay alone instead of constantly feeling like I needed to be into someone next to get over someone. And also just learning how to protect myself moving forward, and also what I do want and what I don't want. And I mean, look, I've tried dating apps. I've literally created an entire episode about it and the hilarious, weird messages that you get. Oh my gosh. And after heartbreak, some days are so hard, but I carry it as a chapter that has changed me, a chapter that has made me stronger and wiser, and not to sound cheesy, but just more aware of the kind of love that I actually want. So yeah, like, I'm such a simple love, honestly. I literally just watched that movie, The Map That Leads to You, and I honestly cried like a baby because I was like, oh my gosh, love exists. Like, I'm such a simple love. I love rom-coms. I love Instagram couples. I just love it. And I just love the feeling of being in love. I mean, who doesn't love being in love and having that intense, beautiful experience with someone that you are really into? Like, it's hot. It's freeing. It's like an amazing feeling. So yeah, like, I just wanted to share this with you guys. I hope it was helpful. I hope it made you feel seen and not so alone if you are maybe struggling with a heartbreak right now, or struggling with a really toxic relationship, whether it's a romantic one or a friendship. I just wanted to share these honest, hard, sometimes painful lessons from my own situation, and I really hope that it's helped you and also made you laugh in a way. The best advice that I have to give is try and focus your energy on just bettering yourself. Be so addicted to making yourself amazing, okay? And really investing in yourself. Like, don't try and decode someone's behavior or question your worth or spiral over what has happened. It's in the past. Literally, just try your best to focus on you and what you want in your life. And when you use your energy in a productive way that is serving you, you'll eventually look back and be so grateful that you didn't waste all of your time thinking about the past. Okay, so that's it. 9 messy, complicated, intense, beautiful, heartbreaking lessons that I've learned about love. And honestly, I probably need like 10 more cups of coffee just to process it all. I'm not even being dramatic right now, but here's the takeaway. Love is wild, it's messy, sometimes it's heartbreaking, and sometimes it's insanely fun. You're going to make mistakes. You are going to cry in your hoodie at 2 a.m. in your bed. You're going to overanalyze texts that you probably shouldn't, and that's normal. So go ahead, love deeply, and set boundaries, and get all high on life, or whatever helps you cope. And remember, your heartbreaks don't define you. They just make the next love you find a lot less confusing. And if all else fails, buy yourself a smoothie, watch something dumb on Netflix, and remind yourself that you are your own favorite person anyway. Okay, cool. Bye. I'm going to enjoy the sunset. So I hope you guys have an amazing week, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.